became aware at some point that Fay Resnick moved in with Nicole Brown Simpson on or about June 3rd, 1994.
Sustained. Sustained. Rephrase the question. You can ask him if he conducted any investigation regarding the residence.
Thank you. Did you have occasion to conduct an investigation to determine whether or not Fay Resnick moved in at the 1st of June, 1994 with Nicole Brown Simpson?
I did not personally.
And did you have someone under your direction do that?
Under my direction, no. I believe my partner made that interview.
All right. And your partner's Van Adder?
Yes.
What did Van Adder do to make that determination?
He interviewed Ms. Resnick.
And who was present during that interview?
I wasn't there, so I...
All right. Have you reviewed the interview, sir?
I have been told about portions of the interview. I have not read an interview.
You've not read it?
No. I believe it was perhaps tape recorded anyway. I'm not sure.
All right. And you've not listened to the tape?
I have not.
And where was that interview conducted, if you know?
Objection, hearsay.
I can guess if he knows you.
He knows the hearsay.
He indicated he wasn't here. I don't think this is the appropriate witness.
All right. And it was your partner, Van Adder, who conducted it? All right. You have never talked to her personally yourself?
Just in passing, a greeting.
But in connection, not only just a greeting, with connection with whether or not she ever lived at that residence. Have you ever queried her at all?
No.
Now, with regard to the Akita, the brown Akita, Cato, did you see that Akita at any time on June 13th, 1994, sir?
No, I did not.
When you arrived at the scene after 4:25, was the Akita out in the street anywhere at that time?
I believe by that time the animal had been impounded.
All right. Did you have, as part of your investigative duties, any tests or any photographs taken of any substances on that Akita?
There was an examination of the Akita, but it was not that day.
All right. Was that done in the course of your investigation in this case?
Yes.
And when was the examination of the Akita?
I believe it was during the time of the service of the second search warrant, if I'm not mistaken, on June 28th, 94.
And where was this examination done, if you know?
At 360 North Rockingham.
The Akita was back at Mr. Simpson's house at that time?
Yes.
What was that date again, sir?
I may be mistaken, but my recollection is June 28th, I believe, at the time of the service of the second search warrant.
All right. And what kind of examination was done at that point, if you recall?
The animal was examined as to its aggressiveness, and there were other behavioral type tests done by the dog expert.
All right. And who's that dog expert?
Sergeant Yarnell.
And do you have a report from Sergeant Yarnell in the course of your investigation?
There was a report generated, yes.
May we see it, please?
I don't believe it's here. I believe it was turned over a couple of weeks ago.
Turned over to whom? The DA's office?
I believe so.
And you don't have a copy of it?
I'm not aware of one. I could check.
Well, will it take very long? If you can check.
I can check one section real quick here.
Would you, please?
I don't see it here.
You don't have it, but it was by Sergeant Yarnell, and that report was as a result of an examination that was done on or about June 28th, 1994, best of your recollection, is that right?
I believe so, yes.
Now, what I had in mind, though, sir, was do you know whether or not anyone ever checked the blood that was supposedly on this Akita at a time before June 28th, 1994?
Saw no one do that.
All right, in the course of your investigation in this case, did you ever have any photographs taken of the Akita between the period June 13th and June 28th, 1994?
I did not.
Do you know whether or not your co-lead investigator, Van Etter, had that done?
I don't believe he did.
Did you, in the course of your investigation as the senior lead investigator in this case, or co-lead investigator, did you have occasion to review the notes by Mark Furman as they relate to the dog on that particular, the night of June 12th, 1994?
I reviewed some notes of Detective Furman.
All right, and do you recall whether or not there was an indication?
Objection hearsay.
May I finish, Your Honor?
Objection, no, there can't be anything else.
May I finish, please? I'll restate it.
Sure the question, but it sounds suspicious.
Well, I said, let me restate it.
All right.
I have a suspicious question, so. With regard
You
to,
have not the proof in it, sidebar?
may I just ask the question, Your Honor? Detective Lange?
Yes, we will
Let's-
not record the rule before.
Let's hear the question, but
Okay.
be cautious,
Okay,
Mr.
all
Cochran.
right. Detective Lange, at any time, as the senior co-lead investigator in this case, did you ever conduct any tests or direct anyone to conduct any tests as to whether or not the Akita dog on the night of June 12th may have bitten anyone?
Subsequent to that, yes.
And when was that you conducted these tests?
Again, that would be the tests of June 28th.
Do you know where that Akita had been between the period of the 13th and the 28th of June?
I believe at the Rockingham residence.
Were you present when the Akita was brought back to the Rockingham address?
No.
Did you see, when you were at the Rockingham address at about 5:30 on June 13th, 1994, did you see the Akita Cato there?
I don't recall seeing the dog there at that time.
Does that mean it wasn't there, you don't recall seeing it?
I don't recall seeing it.
Now, there are two Akitas at Rockingham, isn't that correct?
Yes.
There's another Akita, the black dog is also an Akita, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you find out that dog's name?
Yes.
What's that dog's name?
I believe it's Chachi.
All right, so the black dog is Chachi and the brown dog is Cato, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, did you find out, do you know in the course of your investigation who bought both of those dogs?
Objection, irrelevant, hearsay.
It will become relevant, Your Honor.
I'd like to see, do we have not the proof in it?
It'll become relevant, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Did you find out who bought those dogs?
I had heard who bought those dogs.
Who bought them?
Well, objection.
That's hearsay.
Well, how did you make that determination of who bought the dogs?
I don't recall. I just heard who bought the animals. I don't recall. There was no specific reason for someone to discuss that with me. I just heard that.
Do you have a report of that connection?
With who bought the
As to
dogs?
who bought the dogs?
No.
All right. Now, on June 28th, when Sergeant Yarnell was there, were both Akitas there at that point?
I believe so.
In the course of your investigation, did you ascertain whether or not the Akita Cato had at some point lived prior to June of 1994, had lived at 360 North Rockingham?
No.
Never made that determination?
No.
Do you know, and in the course of your investigation, did you ascertain when the Akita Cato was purchased?
No.
Were you present when Sergeant Yarnell did whatever tests he did on the 28th?
I was at the location. I did not observe the entire examination, but I saw him with the animal.
Do you know whether or not he took any photographs of the Akita Cato that day?
I don't know.
Do you know whether or not he took any photographs of his teeth or gums?
I don't know.
Now, while we're on the subject of dogs, did you ever use any dog to help you in your investigation on or about June 13th, 1994? Did you use such as anything like a scent dog at all? Do you ever do that in your investigations?
A scent dog?
Yes, a dog who would seek to pick up a scent of some individual.
No.
Have you ever done that in the course of your investigation?
I have not, no.
Now, with regard to the dog Cato on that night, you looked inside the interior of that residence, did you not?
Yes, I did.
Did you see any bloody paw prints inside the interior of the residence?
No.
Did you see any bloody paw prints that went westerly toward the rear gate of that particular residence?
No.
You saw paw prints, did you not?
I saw what I believed to be paw prints, yes.
And the paw prints that you saw moved in the easterly direction from the front gate out toward the sidewalk, is that correct?
Initially, yes.
And then did they make a turn, a right turn to go kind of southbound on Bundy?
That's correct.
Then did they make a right turn to go kind of westbound on Dorothy for a short period of time?
That's correct.
You never saw any paw prints either going inside the interior or in that long walkway there on the side of the house, on the north side of the house, did you?
No.
And while we're about it, as the investigating officer, can you tell us, sir, the distance, the approximate distance from the front gate of Bundy that we've talked so much about to the rear gate at Bundy? How far is that in feet?
I believe it's approximately 110 feet.
All right, 110?
Approximately.
All right, and to the sidewalk of Bundy, to the rear gate would be about how far?
I think perhaps 120 feet. I believe the length from the sidewalk to the alley is approximately 120 feet, so I can only estimate from there.
All right, so from the sidewalk, and we're talking about the sidewalk on Bundy, right there, to the rear gate, is that correct?
Yes.
Would be about 120 feet?
It may be less because, again, I believe the sidewalk to the rear alley is approximately 120. I have a schematic that would give us a scaled distance, but if you're asking my recollection, it's probably 100 to 110 feet, somewhere in there.
I would like, and I think we'd all want, your best recollection if you can give it to us, sir.
Well, it would be if I would look at my schematic, certainly that would,
If that's not too much trouble, can you do that?
certainly. Looking at the ground floor schematic on Bundy,
Yes, both counsel may approach.
to point out on the schematic, the sidewalk is at an angle. So as an estimate, from the rear gate to the front sidewalk, as an estimate, I would say 120 feet.
All right, and looking at, you're referring to a schematic, which will not mark, Your Honor, but there's a schematic in his homicide book. And pursuant to that schematic, your best estimate at this point is about 120 feet from the front of the sidewalk of Bundy to the rear gate of Bundy. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. I believe you'd indicated the other day that the intercom inside the house worked, so that someone standing outside that gate could speak to someone inside that house. Is that correct?
Yes.
But you had tried to see whether or not the front gate would be possible to open the front gate from inside the house. Is that a fair statement? You tried to do that?
Yes.
And did you have the help of anyone else when you tried to do that?
Yes.
And the conclusion you came to that was inoperable at the time you tested it?
I was able to get a sound, a clicking sound out of it, but we couldn't get the release to work properly.
All right. Now, you'd never done this before that time. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And what date would you do this test to try to determine whether it was operable?
Initially on the 13th, and it was done subsequent to that.
All right. And did you have anyone ever from the Brown family to assist you in that at all in the course of your trying this to see if whether or not it worked?
I don't believe the Brown family was there when we did this.
You believe they were?
I believe they were not there.
Okay, you believe they were not?
Yes.
All right. And so, at the times at least that you tried it, the intercom worked, but you could not get the front gate open from inside the residence. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
In the course of your investigation in this case, did you ever have occasion to go to Mr. Ronald Goldman's home?
I personally did not.
Did anyone under your direction go there?
Yes.
And who was that?
Detectives Tippin and Carr.
Tippin and Carr?
Yes.
Is that Tippin?
Yes,
It's Carr?
that's correct.
Do you know whether or not they found out whether was there shower and bath at Mr. Goldman's home?
Was there a shower and bath?
Yes.
I believe there was.
Did you have a drawing made of the interior of that residence?
I believe there were photographs taken. I don't believe there was a schematic.
When do you recall when Tippin and Carr went to the residence of Mr. Goldman?
No, I don't recall a specific date.
In the course of your investigation, did you ascertain whether or not he had a roommate on the date of June 12th, 1994?
I don't believe he did.
Now, did he drive a vehicle to the Bundy location, if you know that night?
Yes, he did.
And what kind of vehicle was that?
I believe it was a Toyota.
And do you know whether or not that vehicle belonged to him?
It did not.
Belonged to some other person?
Yes.
Where, if any, in relation to the address at 875 South Bundy, did you find this vehicle parked? You found it so parked?
It was parked on Dorothy Street on the north side of Dorothy, facing in a westerly direction near the alley.
On the north side of Dorothy, facing the westerly direction? Toward the
Westerly
alley?
direction, and that would be west of Bundy.
All right, in the alley that runs behind Bundy there, is that correct?
Yes.
At what point and on what day did you discover this vehicle belonging to Mr. Goldman, or that Mr. Goldman had driven there?
It was discovered on the 13th.
At what time?
What time?
Yes, what time of day, sir?
I believe it was approximately 3 p.m.
Now, as I understand it, when you first saw this, the glove and the knit cap at Bundy, they were under some foliage or plants, or plant, is that correct?
Yes.
And have you recently been to Bundy? Have you been there? You were out there with the jury view, were you not?
Yes.
And that plant that the glove and the knit cap were under appears more full on the photographs than it appeared at the time of the jury view. Would you agree with that?
It appeared about the same to me. Perhaps it appeared about the same.
Appeared about the same to you?
Yes.
All right. Let me see if I can get one of the exhibits here. I asked Mr. Douglas to put 56A on the...
And he did an excellent job. You folks are determined to make today exciting. All right, thank you, counsel.
Is it possible that the detective can step down?
Yes, why don't you take the pointer there, detective?
With regard to 56A, a couple of questions over here. The plant that we're talking about, the footage that we're talking about, is I guess depicted in 56. Is that the same one there in 56C? Okay.
56C?
Yeah.
No, I believe it's below that.
All right, well, let's look.
It's one here.
Okay, let's look then at 56I. It's depicted in 56I, is that correct? Right here.
There's the, yes.
All right, and in that connection, what is depicted in 56I appears to be some dark object and what appears to be perhaps a glove. And is this photograph 56I for identification with a 103 mark there on, Your Honor? Is that a fair and accurate portrayal of the way you first saw this cap and glove on that particular day?
It's in the general area, but I don't believe it's in the exact location I observed.
Had this cap and glove at some point been moved that morning?
I believe the glove was.
And was it moved after Mr. Goldman's body was moved?
Yes, I believe so.
Did you ever write a report indicating that the glove had been moved at all?
No,
Were you aware at the time that the glove had been moved?
not at the time, no.
When did you become aware of it? When this trial started?
No, when I observed the photograph with the glove in a different position.
When you observed it in a different position, why didn't you write a report at that point?
So I don't need to write a report. I have the photographs.
But you did not write a report?
I didn't observe it being moved. I had no personal knowledge of it being moved. All I have are the photographs. And for my certain purposes, they spoke for themselves.
All right, now you tell us the other day that you felt when evidence had been moved, the best procedure would be to try and document that if you could, of how and why it had been moved. Is that a correct statement?
And the documentation, in my mind, is the photographs.
All right, and they are.
The witness could be allowed to resume the witness
Well,
stand
I'm not finished with the
for the
witness.
examination.
I'm not finished with this. So with regard to, so that we're clear, with regard to 56I and 103, there's never a report written about it being moved. Is that right?
There's no report.
Okay. With regard to the envelope that's depicted in 56J, in the course of your looking at photographs, did you ascertain that it also had been moved at some point?
Yes.
And would I be correct in assuming there's no report with regard to that either? Is that correct?
Same situation.
All right. Now, this plant that we were talking about here in 56I, did your testimony that this photograph, 56I, which was taken, I presume, somewhere around June 13th in the early morning hours, is a fair representation of how that plant looked at that time? Is that correct?
That's a close-up view of the plant. Perhaps a fair representation would be one from the back, but I would say so. Yeah.
Well, we have to
This
take
is for what we have. Yeah.
This is what I have, all right? And so based upon what I have here, is that a fair representation of the way that plant looked?
Based upon what you have.
All
Yes.
right. Now, when you're out there on that Sunday, the day of the jury view, does that look to you about the same fullness with regard to that plant as you saw that day?
Once again, I would like to see a shot a little farther away. Again, it appears to be about the same. Yes.
I think it's about the same. I noticed there's some blood splatters on the, apparently blood splatters on that plant. Did you do any testing on those blood splatters?
There were blood spatters everywhere, and not every plant leaf was collected. No.
No, that's not what I asked you. I asked you, did you do any testing or have any testing done regarding the blood splatters on this particular plant depicted in 56I?
I don't believe that was done.
All right, that's all I have to ask. I mean, well, I got him up here. Let me see that photograph. For the record, we're now looking at 45A. I just want to call your attention briefly to 45A, people's 45A for identification. And I want to ask you just a couple of questions regarding, let's start with 45D. You see 45D here? There appear to be a pair of white shoes, I guess on the landing above where the Simpson's body was, and a pair of black shoes. First of all, let's take the white shoes. Do you know whose shoes those were standing there?
I could hazard a guess.
Well, let's see. You were out there that day and you saw who was wearing white. Who do you think the shoes were?
I believe they belong to the photographer, Mr. Rokar.
Rokar?
I believe so.
All right. And now these black shoes are not very descriptive, but can you tell us whose shoes those are?
I believe they're mine.
So you would recognize your own shoes.
I believe I'm wearing them.
Same shoes. Let's say I'd like to mark those and evidence. No, I'm kidding. So at any rate, these are your shoes and these are Rokar shoes. Is that correct?
Yes.
Best you can recall?
Yes.
All right, you're going to have one more. And you are aware, are you not, that you cannot always see footprints with the naked eye? You're aware of that, are you?
I'm sure they can always what?
You are aware that you cannot always see footprints with the naked eye. You aware of that?
It would depend on lighting and angle, but it's certainly possible that you might not see all of them, yes.
All right. And if I might, we're now referring to 56, 54, People's 54 game. I just want to ask you one question about 54. Do you recognize this shoe standing right here adjacent to the plant we talked about earlier? Recognize that black shoe?
It's the same type as I have, but I don't know if that's mine.
That's not a police issue shoe, is it?
Would not be.
All right. So, is that your shoe?
As I said, it may be because I have those types of shoes.
And so, Your Honor, for the record, we're looking at People's 54-2, and that shoe is standing right in the grouting, right where there's some blood in the grouting, adjacent to the plant where we can see the cap and the glove. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
That shoe appears to be a man's shoe,
Appears to be.
and you don't know whether it's your shoe or not.
No.
But it's similar to the same shoes you're wearing.
That's
right?
correct.
All right. Now, ask you some questions about this rear gate Monday. And we're referring now, Your Honor, to 53A. You have previously described for us something about these new cards and how these numbers are placed on various exhibits. I want you to look first of all at 53B, and I see a 115 and a 116. How are those numbers placed there, if you recall?
Those are placed by the criminalist.
All right, and the criminalist selects a particular number, then there's a photograph taken of that particular, whatever they're seeking to pick there, is that correct?
Yes.
And so that we're clear for perspective for the jurors, this 115 and 116, is this the rear gate?
Yes.
And there's also a 117, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, in the course of your investigation in this case, there was another 115 and 116 numbers somewhere at that scene, is that correct?
I don't know. There may have been.
Okay. And I may want to use both of these. Now I want to show you, and I can show you both of them at the same time if you like. Put both of them at the same time. We can't go for the record so we're clear. Mr. Douglas is safely holding 53A. So I want you to look at 53A. I want you to look at the numbers. See this 115, 116, 117, which you've told us is the rear gated Bundy. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now I want you to look at this particular exhibit, which is 48A, etc. And you see this 115 here?
Yes, I do.
which is 48G, which purports to be a blood drop. Now, this 115 here, what is that 115?
That's a photo identification number apparently put down by the photographer and the criminalist.
So let's see, are you saying we have two 115s?
I believe these were taken on different days.
No, that's not what I asked you. Do we have two 115s?
That's pretty obvious to me, yes.
All right, so this 115 here is a blood drop, is that correct?
Right.
And the 115 back here is allegedly a blood drop on the rear gate, is that correct?
That appears to be that way.
All right, and is there also, there's a 117. Now, is 117 allegedly a blood drop that was collected supposedly at the rear of the residence?
Yes.
And that was placed there by the photographer?
I'm assuming that, yes.
Well, you recognize that little card, don't you?
That's the type of card a photographer would put down, yes.
All right, now, and over here, if we look at 117, there's a 117 here with regard to the fence, is that correct?
Yes, there is.
Now, was that a separate photographer, or was it just a mistake made? How do we have the same numbers?
2 dates, 2 different times, 2 different photographers.
Let's see if I understand this. You mean to tell me that if you take photographs on one day, let's say on June 13th, use 115, 116, 117, if you come back on, let's say, July 3rd, use the same numbers?
No.
Is that acceptable procedure, sir?
No, I don't mean to tell you that, but you may want to ask that of the man who did it.
All right, but you're telling us about separate dates, so you're the investigator. I'm just asking you at this point. I don't have any yet. So would that be acceptable procedure in Los Angeles Police
Well,
Department?
objection, Your Honor, he's
procedures?
just indicated he doesn't know.
I'm going to ask the question.
And counsel's continuing to ask questions of this witness, and he has already indicated he doesn't
So
know.
what's the objection? Foundation?
Foundation, thank you, Your Honor.
I'd like to ask a foundational question.
The foundational questions.
Sir, with regard to how these numbers are given out by the photographer, it's true, is it not, that if one used one were a photographer, and one used a 115, a 116, and a 117 on June 13th, that in a later date you use sequential numbers, you would start with 118, 119, 120, isn't that correct?
I can't say that. I don't know what his reasoning was.
Well, you've been a homicide investigator for some 20 years, have you not?
Your Honor, objection, it's argumentative.
I want to ask him a question. Have you ever, in your
Objection, Your
career,
Honor.
Overruled, Counsel.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the court's ruling.
have you ever, in your career, ever seen a situation where the photographer uses the same numbers for different pictures at the same crime scene?
Objection, irrelevant,
Overruled.
beyond the scope of this witness's knowledge.
Overruled.
I have no idea. I don't recall. I may have in 20 years. I don't know.
Well, do you know or not, sir?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't recall seeing that. It's not to say that it hasn't happened before.
But if it, okay, correct.
Again, the person to ask would be the photographer. He may have a reason for doing this. I don't know.
All right. Well, now, as the investigating officer in this case, man in overall charge at Bundy, right? Did you ever ask him why he numbered the same numbers for different blood drops at the same scene? Did you ever ask him that?
I don't believe that ever came up.
All right. Well, thank you. Here's a receipt. I'm going to talk, Mr. Douglas, and move this over to the Senate. See. Now, the glove at Bundy that we were looking at under that particular plant, was that a right or left-handed glove?
Left-handed.
And you've had occasion to examine that glove, have you not? You've looked at it?
I looked at it briefly at the scene and was told not to touch it by the criminalist. Aside from that, I think the next time I saw it was right here in court.
All right, have you ever had occasion to look at that glove and make a determination of whether or not there are any cuts on the finger, outside finger portion of that glove?
I did not personally know.
You never looked at that?
No.
As an investigator, did you ever have any interest in looking at that?
I would have an interest in the criminalist looking at that and when it was examined.
And did the criminal look at it as far as you know?
I believe it was examined, yes.
And you've seen some reports in that connection, have you not?
Yes.
And there are no cuts on that left glove, are there?
Objection, objection.
He knows?
Sustained. Sustained.
All right, when Ms. Clark showed you that glove, I guess last week here in court, did you look at it then?
Yes.
Did you see any cuts on the outside of this left glove, left-handed glove, which reportedly found at Bundy? Did you see any?
No.
Objection, there's no opportunity.
Overruled.
Now, with regard to the eyeglasses and the envelope, may we approach this for a minute on this area?
Sure. Counsel, Mr. Cochran.
I'd like to place before you exhibit number 32, which purports to be the envelope in a bag inside of plastic that was allegedly found at the Bundy location. Do you recognize that envelope?
Yes.
And you recall looking at that envelope at some point?
Yes.
On or about June 13th?
Yes.
Did you look inside at the eyeglasses at that time?
I peered inside an opening and observed some eyeglasses, yes.
All right. And when you peered inside and looked at the eyeglasses at that time, you saw the eyeglasses intact, did you?
I could make out that they were eyeglasses. I couldn't make out that they were necessarily intact.
All right. Do you see the eyeglasses had lenses there or somewhere close by?
I believe I did observe a lens.
All right. Did you observe one lens, two lenses, or what?
It was probably only one. It just appeared to me to be a pair of prescription glasses.
Prescription glasses? And you saw prescription glasses with one lens or two lenses?
No, I observed one of the lenses. The other one, because of the angle I was looking at, I don't believe I could observe it.
All right.
But I may be wrong. I just recall peering in and opening in the envelope and observing what appeared to be prescription glasses.
All right. Why don't you take a look in that envelope now? First of all, look in the envelope and see whether or not you're able to see the lenses. Lens or lenses.
No, I'm not able to.
All right, let's turn it over. When you turn the container over, the package over, do you see a lens or lenses now?
There's one lens in the plastic bag.
All right, look carefully. Do you see another lens there?
No.
All right, now, do you have a report when it was booked of how many lenses there were in these glasses when this was first booked?
The report on the glasses should be contained within the property report when it was booked by the criminalist.
All right, can you take a look at that? You have that here today?
Yes.
I'll hold this. Can you look at that and tell us whether or not it indicates how many lenses were in these glasses?
It does not indicate.
Does that indicate? Now, if only one lens was in the glasses, wouldn't that be something that you would note in one of your reports?
No, I would not.
Or you wouldn't note that at all?
Those glasses were kept sealed in that envelope for a reason.
Well, was it you testified or somebody testified that they were torn open so someone could look inside? Did you so testify?
Not torn open. I testified that there was an opening
All right. And an
where I could
opening-
observe the glasses inside. I didn't touch it, and it was maintained in that manner.
And when it was opened so that you could look inside, how many lenses did you see?
I did not open it to look inside.
All right. But at any rate, the report you've just seen doesn't indicate how many lenses were there. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, sir, while you were at the scene there at Bundy, after you returned from Rockingham on the morning of June 13th, there came a time when press arrived at the scene. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And you saw the press out there, and they were taking video pictures. Did you not see that?
Yes.
And I now want to, Your Honor, with Your Honor's permission, mark as defendant's next in order a videotape, and I want to ask the officer some questions regarding that videotape. Mr. Harris, what's the next number?
1043.
1043, Your Honor. I believe it's queued up, and I want to ask.
I'm sorry. Hold on just a second. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to show you some videotape. You should keep in mind in viewing the videotape that there may be some distortion based upon the length of the lens that is involved in taking. You should take that in consideration in regarding the depth perception with the video. Thank you.
All right, now, if the court's permission, I'll be asking some questions during this, and we'll stop it at certain points, Your Honor.
All right.
Now, Detective Lange, can you tell us, stop there please, can you tell us and identify those gentlemen there and tell us where this is taken, where this video is taken from?
Yes, I am pictured there to the right.
You're the man with no shirt on?
That's
I'm gonna
correct.
strike that. You're the man with no jacket on.
Well,
I was
yes.
thinking about no hair and it came out wrong. I'm sorry. The man with no
Thank you.
no
Yes.
coat on.
No jacket.
All right.
The man with his back to us is Lieutenant John Rogers. Behind him, facing us, is Detective Phillips.
Is that Detective Ron Phillips?
Yes.
There apparently is someone bending over in the street with some kind of a container there with kind of light white shoes. Do you see that person?
Yes.
Who is that person?
I believe that's the coroner's investigator, Ratcliffe.
And that's Ms. What's her first name? If you recall.
I believe it's Claudine.
That's Claudine Ratcliffe. And would this be a scene of her arrival at 875 Bundy?
Yes.
And as best we can tell, would that be about what time? 9:10 in the morning on June 13th?
Approximately.
Now, is there another person in that photograph that you're able to tell us who it is?
Not with this view.
Okay, well, would you keep looking? So this is about 9:10 in the morning. Mr. Harris, will you continue, please? Now, you stop it there. At this point, you apparently are having a conversation with Claudine Ratcliffe, the
Yes.
coroner's investigator?
Yes.
Are you describing to her what you have there, is that correct?
Yes.
And I notice you have a clipboard in your hand at that point, is that correct?
Yes.
What is that clipboard? What is that?
What is it? It's a
I mean,
clipboard.
what do you use it for?
Writing on?
Okay, and is that part of what you do to write your reports, sir?
Yes.
All right, did you write some of those reports in that book before you with that kind of clipboard?
Yes.
All right, may I continue, Mr. Harris? All right, now, those two gentlemen there in the front of the residence, is that Lieutenant Rogers to the right?
Yes.
And is that Ron Phillips, detective, on the left?
Yes.
Is Rogers your immediate superior? He's a lieutenant
He was, yes.
at that time?
Yes.
All right, now, what is depicted in this photograph, sir?
This is Detective Phillips in the right of the photo with his back to us. I can't make out the individual.
Up at the top? Well, we'll proceed on. See if you can recognize the person up on the landing. Who is that man on the landing without a coat?
I'm having a hard time seeing it from here. It's me. Okay.
Does that look like you?
Yes.
All right. 20 questions. That was you. Now, what are we seeing here? Is this the front of the 875 South Bundy?
Yes.
And that yellow tape running around, is that the perimeter that been placed up?
Yes.
It was taken down about 3:45 in the afternoon?
Yes.
All right, now stop it there. Who are the two people up on the landing there?
That's me again, and the D is the coroner investigator Ratcliffe.
All right, and in the foreground there, out on the sidewalk or whatever, is that Phillips?
I believe so.
All right, we'll continue. You explaining to her what you have there at this point?
Yes.
All right, do you notice your hands? Do you have anything on your hands at that point?
No.
All right, you don't have any gloves or anything on, right?
No.
Now, what's depicted in this photograph? Is that one of the bodies now covered with a sheet?
This is looking westerly, and that's looking towards the body of Miss Simpson.
All right, and the lady on the left, where we've now stopped it, is that again the coroner's investigator?
Yes.
All right, we continue on. Are you to the left of her at that point, kind of kneeling down?
To the left in this photo, yes.
Okay. And are you near, where's the body of Mr. Cole Brown Simpson in this particular photograph, so we'll know?
That would be in front of us towards this direction.
All right, in front of us to the east, right?
Yes.
All right. Now, I notice now a vehicle is coming up, it says L.A. County Coroner on it. You recall that vehicle arriving that morning?
Yes.
And is that the vehicle driven by Ms. Ratcliffe's assistant, Mr. Jacopo?
Yes.
And he arrived at about what time that morning, if you recall?
I believe it was shortly after her, shortly after Ratcliffe, perhaps 10, 15 minutes.
And the man there in the blue with coroner written on the back of his jumpsuit, that's Mr. Jacopo?
Yes.
All right, and you saw him arrive sometime about 9:20, 9:25, is that correct?
I believe so.
All right. Now, when he arrives at the scene, he stops apparently to talk to some particular officer. And I see to the right, that's Lieutenant Rogers, is that correct?
Yes.
You know the officer he's talking to at that point?
I believe it might be Officer Cummings.
Is he logging in at that point, sir?
Yes.
All right, we may proceed. That's also Detective Phillips again?
Yes.
Is that Miss Ratcliffe again?
Yes.
That's the front of the Bundy residence again?
Yes.
Is that a long view of the residence there at both, I guess, 873 and 875?
Yes, looking northwest direction.
All right, now, at this point, there are two men there. We'll stop it. Is that you talking with Lieutenant Rogers?
Yes.
Okay. If you know it, the body's been moved sequentially at this point?
I don't believe so.
All right. Continue on. Again, that's a view taken from the street, somewhere across the street, is that correct?
Yes, appears to be.
All right. Is that the sergeant you described for us earlier?
Yes.
LAPD Sergeant Palmer?
Yes.
In the background is the body of Mr. Cochran Simpson?
Yes.
Now, there's somebody who just stepped down. Apparently, you're stepping over something. Is that over Mr. Cochran Simpson's body?
Yes, it is.
Now, do you notice something? Do you have something on your hands now?
Yes, I'm wearing plastic rubberized gloves.
All right. Where'd you get those gloves from, if you know?
I carry them with me.
All right. And just refresh your recollection that you were wearing some gloves at some point that day?
Yes,
All right. You're stepping over where the body's still in place there. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Coroner's not moved the body yet.
That's correct.
All right. And all right, we'll move it on. Now, stop it there. I noticed that up on that landing, the two coroner's representatives were standing there. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you see the shoes of Miss Radcliffe?
Yes.
And to her left or east of her, the gentleman, Mr. Jacopo, apparently has his left foot resting on the railing there. Is that correct? You see that?
Looks to be the foot is on the wall. I don't
All right,
know if it's on the railing.
Let's show it on. Maybe we can see it clearer. Left foot is resting on something, right?
Yes, appears to be.
All right. See there? Now
Yes,
stop there.
yes, I do.
Where's his foot resting on?
It went from the wall to the railing.
All right. So, all right. Now you're bending down. Are you taking some kind of measurements at that point?
Yes,
And they're standing there at that point above you. Is that correct?
yes,
All right. And you're about to step into the area where Mr. Goldman's body was found?
that's correct.
Now, you had no coverings on your shoes at that point, did you?
That's correct.
All right, again, that's you in the foreground. Now,
Yes.
let's stop it there. There's a gentleman we've been talking about with a kind of a white jacket on with white hair. Who is that individual?
It's Mr. Rokar, the photographer.
And he's a gentleman who took a lot of these photographs here.
Yes.
He's the man we have to ask the questions about why we have duplicate numbers. Same guy?
No, I believe there were 3 different photographers employed on those 2 different dates and the criminalist, so if I wanted an answer, I'd probably talk to all 4.
All four? I'd have to talk to all four?
The criminalist and the 3 photographers.
Okay. All right, but that's Rokar, right?
That's Mr. Rokar in the
Okay,
center,
fine.
yes.
Maybe continue. Who's he talking to? Who's that to his left?
I'll have to wait till he stands up again. I believe it looked like Phillips.
All right. Now, it's apparently a long view from across the street. Do you see your back there?
Yes.
Rokar is somewhere near you? Okay, stop it there. We see inside the yellow tape there, that's Lieutenant Rogers, is that correct?
I can't tell whether or not he's inside the tape. I can't see because of the band at the bottom.
Okay, well, Rogers is somewhere in the foreground, is that correct?
Yes.
And who's that man with the kind of the sandy hair, if you know?
That's Assistant Lab Director Steve Johnson.
Steve Johnson, who's the employee? Lab director for whom?
The LAPD Scientific Investigation Division.
All right, when did he come to the scene?
I believe it was probably shortly before for this video.
Okay, have you seen his name on the log before?
I believe it is on log, yes.
Can you tell us, refresh your recollection as to what time he may have arrived?
No.
All right, you don't know?
I don't recall. I didn't make a point of checking. I suppose I could look at the log.
You do recall he was out there that day, is that right?
Yes.
All right, we continue on, sir. And stop it there, who's that gentleman there?
Which gentleman?
The one with the, you can't see, the one to the left of Mrs. Jacopo who's in the blue. jumpsuit. Can you back it up for a minute, Mr. Harris? Do you recall who that was at that point?
The one below the
No.
man with the...
Can you look up? And I'll show you. The one right there, one right behind Jacopo from the coroner's office, that gentleman. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure it'll help you from this angle. You tell us who that is? Ms. Rogers, Steve Johnson, who that is?
No.
All right, we may resume your seat. Thank you. Mr. Harris, please continue. At this point, is this the plastic sheet that you were talking to us about,
Yes.
which Ms. Nicole Brown Simpson was placed on her back as much as possible in a supine position? Is that correct?
Well, she was placed on the plastic. She was in full rigor mortis, so that couldn't be a complete supine position.
I said as much as possible in a supine position, sir, as opposed to being lying
Well,
face
she was
down.
placed on it. I don't know what you mean by as much as possible.
Well, due to the rigor that you've described for us. All right, stop there. Now, you recognize the people in this photograph, do you not?
Yes, there's myself, and
The man in the dark suit is whom?
I believe it's Phillips,
All right, and to his left is whom?
and that's Rokar.
And in the foreground here, do you know who this is?
I really can't tell.
Can't tell?
No.
And to the right there, bending over, you know who that is? Isn't that Miss...
I can't see, but it possibly is Ratcliffe.
Miss Ratcliffe? All right, continue, please, Mr. Harris. Now, can you see now who that gentleman is in the foreground?
No.
Okay, continue on, please. Still can't tell?
No.
All right, we'll continue. This is the removal of Miss Nicole Brown Simpson's body. Her body was moved first.
Yes.
All right. Now, again, is that you in and around the scene where the body was?
Yes.
And at that point, we see the two coroner's assistants. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in the foreground there, is that criminalist trainee Mazzola, M-A-Z-Z-O-L-A?
Appears to be, yes.
All right. Continue on, please. Now, who is that coming through there now? With no
Smith.
Who is that?
Mr. Fung.
And is he one of the criminalists?
Yes.
Stop it. Do you see he has nothing on his hands?
Yes.
And he's carrying... Can you back that up a minute, Mr. Harris? Stop it there. He's carrying a bag or something in his hand.
Yes.
You see that? So that we're clear who's here in this particular photograph, the female coroner's representative, and her name?
Her name?
Yes.
Ratcliffe.
Radcliffe, and we have Fung, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, in the foreground we have Jacopo.
Yes.
Okay, and further out, because of the perspective, is Mazzola, is that right?
Yes. Appears to be.
Okay, to her right is Rokar, the photographer.
Yes.
All right, and then because of perspective, can you tell who that is with that dark suit there, behind Rokar?
At the lower right-hand corner?
Yeah, yeah, right-hand corner there, the dark blue suit. Left arm.
I believe it might be Officer Carson Pierce.
Carson Pierce?
Yes.
Perhaps we'll see another photograph. Continue, Mr. Harris, please, sir. Now, can you see that person with the sandy hair? That's Steve Johnson, though?
Yes.
Steve Johnson?
Yes.
Who's that man there? in the
That's
foreground?
Detective Tippin.
Mr. Tippin, he's one of the ones who took the statements that you told us about earlier, T-I-P-P-I-N?
He's one of the detectives who went to the Goldman residence.
All right. Tippin and Carr?
Yes.
All right, sir. Is this Mr. Goldman's body this time? Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
He's already been moved out from the small area?
That's correct.
All right, now stop it right there, Mr. Harris. This man over the left who was kind of rubbing his brow a moment ago, is that the criminalist, Mr. Fung?
Yes, he's on the left.
You notice he still doesn't have any gloves on? You notice that?
He doesn't appear to.
All right. And again, you previously described the individual. Is that you pointing?
Yes.
All right. Continue, Mr. Harris, please. Did you ever use more than one pair of gloves that day, if you recall?
I may have. I had gloves on for a while, had them off for a while, had them on. I may have. If I'd taken those off, I couldn't have put them back on, so I'd have put a different pair on.
You have that written down anywhere? Is that in your notes?
I took my gloves off?
Yes, that you changed gloves at the scene.
No.
I think that's it.
It's 4:30, Your Honor.
Indeed it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our recess for the afternoon. Please remember my admonition to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Don't form any opinions about the case. Don't discuss it amongst yourselves or perform any deliberations until the matter has been submitted to you. Do not allow anybody to communicate with you regarding the case. And we will be in session on matters regarding the case, but we will not require your presence on Friday. So we'll see you back here on Monday, 9 o'clock. All right? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a nice weekend.